Hey, welcome to Hack and Build. Today I'm going to show you my latest little mini greenhouse. And this one here, it's sort of in the style of a low tunnel. And there's some things I don't like about it right off the bat. That usually happens after you build something. I'm going to take you through what I did here and my plans for it, and we'll probably do another 1 or 2 videos on this here, but the idea is that I'll be able to extend my growing season, and I've got some things like spinach and beets in here. So just to give me some greens throughout the year. Last year I was able to have greens pretty much all winter long. Those things are really hardy, they survive pretty well, so I'm hoping with this it'll be even better. So let's have a closer look here. So this is just built with some 3/4 inch PVC pipe using these snap clamps here to hold the plastic onto the frame. And in the ground, these are set into place with 2-foot long steel. I had just the various pieces of steel around. I used some rebar and then just some round and bar stock, basically just utilizing what I had on hand. And I found that 2 feet was about the right size. And what I did is I sunk them in so that they're all even, and 8 inches of the bar sticking out, because this ground here is kind of soft. So that's why I went with the 2-foot pieces. I started out thinking I could get away with 12-inch pieces, and that was just too short. So 2 feet worked for me, and you can buy rebar in 2-foot chunks or 10-foot chunks, so you can get 5 pieces out of a 10-foot piece of rebar. Same thing goes with this PVC. This comes in 10-foot chunks, and what I did is I broke them up in 2 and used 5-foot pieces here. And then these pieces that go up and down here on the back, these are 2 feet long. So I tried to get it so that it was dividing evenly to maximize the materials usage. Now, a word of caution here. As I was putting this thing together and bending everything into place, this stuff is under a lot of tension, and I have this screwed into some logs that run along down there on the bottom. And as I was holding this whole thing down and screwing it in, and this thing just flew up and whacked me right across my face. And I had a huge welt on my chin for a couple of days. And so I would not recommend you do that. So after I learned my lesson, I put this one in first, and then put the 90-degree elbow on this piece here, and then I bent it down. And it was kind of holding in by itself by that point, because I just wanted to pull out from down here. So I just as a matter of extra safety, I guess I put these deck screws in. So here is some footage of what the cold frame looked like before I put the plastic on, and this is how I affixed it to the PVC here. Just use some drywall screws, and then the same thing, the same idea down below, except I used anchor bolts there. One issue that I ran into with the anchor bolts was that this stuff is these logs are still pretty green, and they would just be getting stuck. And I stripped out a couple of the ends of these. They use that star bit drive, which I really don't like, but overall I think these are like 3.5 inch or 4 inch fasteners, and with this washer on top, it really does make a nice tight hold. So I first was using just like regular deck screws, and those just didn't seem to be sufficient, so I switched over to these, which I already had laying around, so why not use them. And then before I put the plastic on, I'll just show you some of the plants in here. I've got some mustard greens, some kale, spinach, some dill still, green onions, and I moved some stuff that the rabbits were eating in the other part of the yard over to here. So we'll see if this stuff survives. I don't know if it will. So one thing I plan on addressing with this design is just to make it easier to access in the back here. So I'm going to come up with some kind of a roll-up design or access hatch, and I plan on working on that later this week, and I'll do a quick walk around once I'm done with that and show you what I did. We'll also have a look and see how the plants are doing in here compared to some of the things out in the yard. I've only got a few things left in the yard. There was some rabbit damage on some of my greens, so I moved them in here, but there's one larger beet plant out there that it's still going pretty strong, so it'll be neat to compare how they do in here versus out in the yard. So hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more hacks and builds, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.